This is the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, episode number 110.
Joette Calabrese here, folks. I'm happy that you've joined me for my podcast today. You're in for a treat. From my virtual classroom, I'm privileged to see how homeopathy is transforming lives all over the globe. Their successes inspire me. They're glorious and powerful, and I can't keep their triumphs a secret. I want you to hear the excitement my students experience too, so you can be inspired by the unique stories. So with the help from Kate, my reporter, I bring you a podcast series I call Moms with Moxie. Sometimes we even interview dads with Audacity or teens with Tenacity. See how regular mothers and others, average folks who love healing those around them, have gone from freaking to fabulous by simply applying what they've learned using what I call practical homeopathy.
Welcome back to the Practical Homeopathy Podcast. Today's podcast is going to be a bit different because we have not only one mom with Moxie with us, but actually 4 moms with Moxie. I met all of these special ladies that I now consider friends in the Gateway to Homeopathy study groups over the years. So we wanted to have them on the podcast to give you a little insight into the Gateway study groups and to hear from each of them about their experience with homeopathy. I know you'll enjoy listening to them as they share from their hearts today. And so I'd like to start by welcoming Michelle, Hillary, and Tina to the podcast today. I'm so excited to have you guys all here joining me today.
Hey, Kate.
Hello. Hey, Kate.
Let's take a minute before we dive in, and I want to introduce you to each of these ladies. And I'm going to start with Michelle, the Michelle with 1 L, not 2. Michelle and I have been meeting together on these study groups for quite a long time. And I feel like you're one of my best friends, and we've never actually met in person, which is really interesting, but we talk every day, and it all started with the study groups. So with that, Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm from Chico, California, so Kate and I live quite a ways away from each other, and we just connected so much with these study groups. And I'm a mom of 5 boys and a husband, and we have a little grocery store in Chico. And I am just having so much fun with Kate leading these study groups now and meeting these women from all over the world and just making great friends.
And Michelle, you're actually on another podcast. I interviewed you on podcast 93. So if people want to hear more from you, they can listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now let's go to the Michelle with 2 L's.
Hi, Kate. Good to see you.
Nice to see
I'm
you
from
too.
Chicago. I'm a chiropractor and a certified functional medicine practitioner. I am a mother of 2 teenagers, and I have a husband who's also in practice with me.
Great. Thank you. Great to see you here today. And let's go to Tina.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this. I'm Tina, Bangor, Maine. I have 3 children, a husband, and a couple of businesses, and I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned.
Yay. All right. And last but not least, Hillary.
Hello, I'm Hillary, and I live in Washington State. I've been using homeopathy for about 3 years, and I love it, and I'm just glad to be here.
All right, let's get started by talking about the place where we've all met, and that is the Gateway to Homeopathy study groups. For those of you who may not be familiar, Joette has a Gateway to Homeopathy study guide, 1 and 2. We all met there, and there's so many stories, right, about these Gateway to Homeopathy groups. Most of you have joined us for more than one of the study groups. You just keep coming back and coming back. And I know you feel the same way that I do, that every time I go through one of these study groups that I continue to learn and something new stands out to me, and I'm reminded of something that I had forgotten, or some new information comes out in our conversations. And the best part, honestly, is the friendships and the support that we've developed through these study groups. So I want to hear from you now about your take on the study groups and why you like them.
Hi, this is Hillary. I'm going to go first. And I loved taking the Gateway classes so much that I took both the first and second class 3 times. And you meet new people and you get to hear other people's success stories. And that is so fun and encouraging. But I will say there was an element for me where I was really nervous because I hadn't been on the Zoom call before, and participating made me nervous, but it was such a good experience. And I just want to encourage anybody out there to just try it.
Hillary, you had talked about really, you expressed a great hesitation in joining the study group because even coming on and seeing these new people, you didn't know them. So what made you decide to do it, even though you had that fear? Or what do you want to say to people who might be hesitant to join a study group?
Well, I think you get so much out of it. And I pushed myself a little bit to talk. And then you get used to it. You get used to it and you kind of forget about this is uncomfortable and you just enjoy the people and you enjoy learning so much. And even through all of that, I made some really great friends. And I'm in a study group now with some of these people that I met. And it's such a great experience.
And when you say study group, you mean that you guys are now going through a course together? Is that what you're talking about?
I have done that. I mean, we have a study group that is over Signal. And so we text each other when we have questions, when we have something that we want to share that is a success, or if we just need some support, we can text each other.
Yeah. So you guys got together and you said, let's join up on Signal and then we can still continue our conversations, even though our formal study group has ended.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. I love those Signal groups. They're a really great way to stay in touch. Michelle, you have an interesting story also about when you first joined a study group.
So I came to homeopathy probably about a year ago. And because I'm in private practice, I come across a lot of different cases. And I started doing biofeedback several years ago. And while I was doing biofeedback, these patients, the results would come up with these names of things that I had never heard of before. And the patient is asking me, well, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. I just know that it balances you. And this happens so often that I'm like, well, I better figure out what these are. And these were homeopathic remedies. So I went on the internet and I was looking for at-home homeopathy guides or courses. And I did try a few. I found some from England. But then through that learning, I figured out who Joette was. So I called Joette's office and I said, do you have a practitioner's course that I can do? And I was talking to one of her staff and she says, we don't have that yet, but we do have these study groups. It's called Gateway to Homeopathy. I think you should join one of those. And I said, yeah, but I'm a physician. Are there going to be other physicians on there? And she says, no, seriously, just join the Gateway study group. You won't be disappointed. You really need to do it. So I went on to the Facebook page and immediately found Kate and Michelle's study group that was starting the next week. And I'm like, okay, we follow energy all the time. Energy has intention. So I am going to sign up for your study group, joined the study group, and I haven't looked back since. It was such a remarkable way for me to learn something that was so foreign to me. I needed to open my mind to a whole other realm of healing. And I don't think I could have done that any other way. So meeting all these ladies from across the US was an absolute blessing. And like you too, Hillary, I'm on the Signal group as well. And I bring cases to all these gals and I'll say, okay, I got this new patient who has X, Y, and Z. What are you thinking? This is what I'm thinking. And everyone chimes in. And before you know it, I have a great protocol that I can try with my patients. It's just been remarkable. And it really has transformed my practice just in 1 year.
That's a great story, Michelle. I love it. And it's been amazing getting to know you. And I'm so glad that you did take that leap and join our study group. So thank you for sharing about your experience.
Thank you.
So I can jump in a little bit and add to what Michelle said. Michelle, when we met at our group, actually all of us, I think we're in the same group at one time or another, but we took it one step further, which was so exciting. And I was talking to Joette about this the other day, that we've gone from being a gateway study group to, hey, what course should we do next together?
Yes.
And so we did the allergic course during the winter last year. We just met every other week early in the morning. And I think there ended up being like 15 of us. And now there's like 35 of us that are going to do good gut, bad gut next. So it's been so exciting to see these groups, getting to know all of you people from all over the world, literally. We have one gal in New Zealand who's like meets us on the next day. She's, here it's Tuesday and it's Wednesday at noon at her place. But it's been really neat to be able to meet and to work with you and to work with all these women from all over the world and men. We had a couple of guys with their wives join us this year. Mm-hmm. One was a nurse. I think he was an RN. And then the other one was a pharmacist. And they happened to be in Kate and I's group together. It was our first men. It was just the neatest experience working with husbands and wives, and then all these other people from all over the place and to get their input. Really, these groups have been incredible for my growth and my learning in homeopathy. And I got started going to the groups I was looking for a group and I couldn't get enough people together locally. So I think Joette might have told me about the Facebook page. And so I found Kate had a group and I got connected with her. And then she said, well, you can keep coming back. Once you go to the first one, you don't have to pay again. So I kept coming back over and over and over again. And then Kate and I just grew this amazing friendship. I could honestly say she's one of my best friends that I've never met. And we talk every day. I mean, if a day goes by and I don't hear Kate's voice, I'm like, whoa, I wonder what's going on. So these groups have been just wonderful for everything. At the beginning of the year, when things started getting shut down, Kate and I started meeting with people on the side and just doing Zoom groups to talk about, hey, how do we handle a virus? Let's go through this together and support each other. Let's pray together and lift each other up. And we have made some incredible, incredible friendships through these gateway groups. I am so grateful to Joette for starting this. It's just been a wonderful journey.
And I will say, it's actually been really encouraging to have this group through the whole shutdown, through the whole COVID thing, because people in different states can say, this is what's going on with you guys. Hey, this is what I'm trying. This is what's working. It has been such a good support group because we can see people, whereas sometimes we can't. It's just so nice to connect. It's been so nice.
And Michelle, to piggyback on what you said about the new courses that we're all taking, like the allergy course, now we all want to do the good gut, bad gut. I feel like I wouldn't want to miss out on something. So I'm like, well, I got to do what they're doing, even though I feel like I need to do the pain group because I'm a chiropractor, but I'm not. I'm going to do good gut, bad gut because that's what everybody's doing. And I don't want to do it on my own.
I just don't want to miss out on anything, any information.
That's how I am, Tina.
And seeing everybody where we're so isolated right now, I get to see people who have become my friends, and it's just been amazing. Such a blessing for me.
Yep.
And Tina, tell us about what we did this Christmas. Maybe you can share that story.
This Christmas, Michelle had a great idea of doing Secret Santa. And us women are all over the United States. I mean, we've never met each other in person, and we drew names through Michelle, and she told us, who we had. And we all sent out emails to say, oh, I like this, I like that, or send me anything. I don't care what you send me. And it was the most fun I think I've ever had in a Secret Santa group. We got to get together one night, open up all of our presents live in front of each other. And it was just wonderful to share that experience with these women that we've never met in person, that I feel like are such dear friends to me now. And everybody was excited about their gifts and appreciative and thankful. And it was a wonderful experience. So,
and I don't know about you guys, but I think that was the gift that I most looked forward to opening.
us too. Yeah.
It was so much fun.
I was so excited because I didn't even look at mine. Like, I'm like, oh, the box was there and I wanted to open it.
And what did you all receive?
I ended up getting a salt lamp, and it's wonderful because I keep it right in my office by my computer, and it purifies the air there. So it's great.
I got a couple remedies, and I got an EMF protection bag to keep my remedies in.
Yeah. And I got an EMF bag as well. It was so much fun. I think a bunch of us got EMF bags for our remedies.
Yeah. I got something that was hand stitched, my name on a blanket that keeps me warm when I'm on all these Zoom calls, because I live in Wisconsin and it's cold here in the winter, and a whole bunch of other things. It was very exciting. And Michelle, it's sad, but you weren't part of that because you weren't in our Signal group, right?
No, I wasn't. No. So next year, guys.
Yeah, next year. We'll
remember to add me.
Yeah,
oh, definitely.
Will. Tina, I don't think we heard about your story, how you came to join the Gateway group.
Oh, it was kind of exciting for me because I heard one of Joette's podcasts, and it was actually Kate doing the podcast. So, of course, I jumped right online and found the little section under Joette's website that said online study groups. And I didn't know anything about it. So I just ordered the Gateway 1 book. And I thought, oh, I can just do this by myself. Well, I couldn't. It was too hard. So I got on Facebook and literally found the Kate that did the podcast for Joette. And I felt like I'd hit the jackpot. And so I started that, and I've done it 3 times with Kate and Michelle, Gateway 1 and Gateway 2. It's been invaluable for me, not only for the information, but the camaraderie that has developed. I would encourage anybody to do it.
Aw. You're so sweet. So we've had some pretty interesting study group meetings. We have so many stories we could share, right, girls? I mean, I feel like we've been going through life together, and there's so much personal and homeopathy. But Michelle, I know you wanted to share with us something that happened while we were actually on a study group. So if you could share that now, that'd be great.
Yeah, we were on a study group once, and a gal that was supposed to be there that night, her family had gotten in a car accident. And I remember her calling from the hospital and asking what remedies to do. And so we stopped the meeting, and everybody was giving her wisdom and advice. And I think we even might have prayed with her to help her through that. So that was just like one of the things that happened where it was during a meeting, somebody needed help that we were able to step in and help with. And that was just really a neat experience.
I feel like that's happened more than once, hasn't it, Michelle?
Yeah, it has. It has, definitely.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat because I remember they would go off the call for a bit, and they were in the ER, and then she would come back on and tell us how it's going, and we'd all talk about it. And
it was amazing just to be able to support each other in that. That was really special too. And then another one was we had a gal, Heather. Joette did a blog about her. It's called "Look What You Could Do for Free, Folks." And we watched her go from the beginning of treating her severe eczema. I have never seen anything like this, through her complete healing within that year. And it was just such a blessing to be able to watch her and how she found that information on Joette's blog. So that was really a special time. And then Tina had an incident with her husband when she was in the Gateway group.
Yeah, Tina, tell us about that.
Oh, my goodness. I was right in the middle, actually, of my Gateway 2 group. And my husband on the job site fell 10 feet and crushed his urethra. And that was like in March of this year. And I was brand new to homeopathy. I mean, I had just started learning about it in November the year before. And so my husband didn't want me to come to the hospital because he was worried for me and how I was feeling. So, of course, I immediately took aconite at home, and because that's what I had learned in through the support of the Gateway group. And he finally said I could come to the hospital. So I did. Immediately brought arnica with me because we knew he was going to be having surgery right away to put a catheter in so his urethra would heal around this catheter. And the doctor was very clear with us that he wasn't sure if Dan would come through this and not have to have a super physical catheter the rest of his life, or if he would have such scar tissue in his urethra that they would have to do repeated surgeries forever for him. And so we were scared, but through the support of these gateway groups, which I can't begin to express what a blessing and how invaluable they were to me, I ended up giving him the remedies that I learned. In post-surgery, I gave him arnica 200. I gave him hypericum 200 for the pain. I gave him Nux vomica 30 for the effects of the anesthesia. And he was nauseous and a little dizzy, so I gave him phosphorus every 3 hours. We only did the Nux vomica and the phosphorus first day. So I gave him also, starting that day, Staphysagria 200C twice a day. We continued that for 4 weeks. We also gave him Thiocinaminum 30 twice a day for 4 weeks for scar tissue. The most miracle thing that happened, we went back to get his catheter removed, which was actually another surgical procedure. And we repeated everything we did before with homeopathy. But the doctor came out and he said, I got to show you this. I got to show you the before and after. We did not expect Dan to heal like this. He said he has complete blood flow and he has literally no scarring. He goes, I have done this surgery for years and I have never seen this happen. And he said, Dan's injury was the type that we usually see in car accidents where people get crushed in the pelvic region. And I knew what it was. I mean, I didn't say that to the doctor, of course, because we did slip him the homeopathy without the doctors knowing it. They're not real up on that. They'd be like, what are you putting in your husband? So for me, it was a miracle. It was the homeopathy miracle. And then being able to jump on and send a text to Kate or Michelle and just say, okay, what else can I do? Can you help me? Point me in the direction. It was just a blessing all the way around. And I can't begin to share with everybody how important homeopathy has been in my life.
So Tina was talking about surgeries, and I found at least 3 blogs on surgeries that I've used also. But the S's for Staphysagria was particular to the catheter issue that she had with her husband. And Joette also has a blog called Surgery Answering Your Questions. And there's an older blog, Anticipating Surgery, Homeopathy Can Help. They're all wonderful, full of information.
Let's hear some more of those stories.
Well, Kate, I have some really cool ones that I'd like to share with you. I have quite a few patients on many different protocols, but just wanted to maybe share a couple with you guys that kind of stand out for me. This one gal, she's in her 60s and she came to me. I've been working with her for years, actually, but she knows that I'm studying homeopathy. And she had a slew of things that she wanted me to do to come up with protocols. So I do have 3 for her that I'd like to talk to you about. So the first one is depression. So she's been on depressive medications for over 40 something years and wanted to get off of them. So over the past couple of years, through the help of her prescribing doctor, we've been able to get her off the medication and on to St. John's wort, the herb, which was fantastic. But learning in homeopathy, I wanted to now get her off St. John's wort over to homeopathy and then hopefully never be on anything ever again. So she agreed to my protocol, and the protocol was Aurum Metallicum 200C, and we did every 3rd day with Coffea cruda 200C twice a day. And we did that for probably 8 weeks when she told me that she started itching terribly at night. So I brought this to our allergy group, I think, Michelle, and said, what do I do? Is this approving, or is this her old skin issue coming up? And we tried to work through it. I just saw this gal last week and I took her off the coffee cruda. And lo and behold, she got a lot better. And I've now since added in Ignatia 200 twice a day every day except for the day she takes Aurum Metallicum. And she said now she has never, ever felt better, even all the years just being on medications and everything else. So right now I'm calling this a slam dunk, and hopefully we can start to wean her off of the Aurum. She also brought to me a long history of UTIs. So last year she had 3 UTI infections. So that was 3 rounds of antibiotics. And when she brought it to me, we just happened to start talking about it in one of our groups. So quickly looked it up and got her on Meterinum 200 twice a day. And her infection was already gone. And of course, she had antibiotics as well. But she continued that Meterinum for 1 month. And so this was back in August of last year. And she has yet to have the return of any UTI. So she had them back to back to back in 2020. And then she comes to me at the beginning of December and says, okay, all this stuff is working. She says, what can you do for my vertigo? And I know she has chronic vertigo. I've helped her chiropractically with it, but it's like so much care that we decided, you know what, you can let it ride out on your own over the past couple of years. But she brings it back to me and says, now what about vertigo? What can you do for that? So I found a blog on Joette's site called Vertigo as the World Spins, and it lists Tellurium 200C every 3rd day and Conium maculatum. She said 3C would be better, but some countries can't get it, so she usually says 6C, but I was able to find the 3C on OHM at twice a day. And so the first 4 weeks or so, she told me there was no change, and she's like, I thought this was going to be a miracle. And I'm like, patience, child. Things are not always linear. And I said, you have to hold out for 8 weeks. It's what we've been told, right? Chronic conditions, you wait for 8 weeks and then you reassess. So when she came into my office last week for our reassess, it was 8 weeks. And she is improved by 50%.
Wow.
So she, of course, is like, so what can I drop? And I'm like, no. We're going to stay the course. I have been taught by Joette. I've been taught by Kate and Michelle. We're going to stay the course. And she agreed. We're going to stay the course. So super excited that I'm getting all this success with her. And so she's down to only 1 medication. When I started working with her with homeopathy a year ago, she was on 4. She's now down to 1. Mm. And I can't take her off them, remember? So this is her going to her MD, and the MD is agreeing that she doesn't have to be on them.
Mm. Yeah,
that's so exciting.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
And you know,
but not surprising.
I know, exactly.
There's a blog Joette has too called Recurring UTIs and Antibiotics Stop the Cycle. So that's a good one for
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I looked up, Michelle.
Yeah, that's a really good blog.
And then the one for depression was Homeopathy Can Spoil a Girl. I loved the title of that one.
That is so
Medicine for Depression. Yeah. And it was my first one when I was like, can I really do this for depression? Like just not knowing enough, you know? And so read that blog. And so I mentioned it to my patient and she says, I am so willing. We've gone this far. Let's give this a go.
You know, I was in on that course, the allergic course, when Michelle brought it and was talking about it. And actually, I didn't hear the result. And so that is actually so cool to hear the result.
Yeah. So even the other day, she's like, but Kafia was working so well. I'm sleeping so well. And I'm like, I know, maybe we can get back to it. But the itching through the night, which is approving of Kafia, I think really happened, you know, so we have to kind of follow it. But the Ignatia, the combo now of Ignatia on the alternate days of Aurum, she says right now is a slam dunk.
That's a really interesting way to do that.
Well, I did talk about it with Michelle, if I can do it. And some of us were like, I don't know if you can do Ignatia and Aurum Metallicum on the same day. So I decided just not to have it on the same day. And it's working.
And I have used it on the same day for myself.
Okay.
As needed.
And I love hearing other people's stories because as I learn homeopathy and love it, and I really want to share with other people, it's so nice because I get to learn, hey, that works. Hey, I'm going to try that. Oh, I'm going to tell somebody about that. I love that aspect of this.
Yeah. And I find people are really open to it too. Like my patients know that I'm a student. You know, I am not a homeopath. And the fact that they have enough trust just because I'm learning and I'm trying, I'm amazed by that.
And don't you guys agree that it's going to make our learning so much faster that when we do this with other people in a group, because we do get to hear all those stories and learn from each other. So instead of just our own little world, it's magnified by all the people that we now know and their stories and their successes and so on.
Absolutely.
Once you have one little success, and it doesn't matter how small, it's amazing what it does for you emotionally and for your family or for whoever you're helping.
And confidence, right?
The confidence, it's amazing.
Yeah. So I have a cool one, guys. I think I talked to in the allergy group because I brought it up, I think, in our first class, the first day we met for the allergy course.
Oh,
yes.
was it about the kid?
Yes. It's so funny how things come to you. So I have this family that has been in our practice for probably 15 years. And her third child, I met when he was born about 2 years ago and gave him his first adjustment at he was probably about 8 weeks old. And so she brings him into the office and just for an adjustment, but she starts mentioning all his allergies. So he has horrible allergies. He's horribly sick all the time. He's in the hospital every 1 to 2 months getting different things done for an old RSV case that he had. He has horrible allergies to dust, mold, peanuts, and to dog. He has horrible eczema, horrible asthma. This poor little thing is just a mess. And she says, do you know if you could do anything for REA for all of these things? And I said, well, wouldn't you just know that I'm in an allergy course right now? I said, write everything out for me. Every single thing you can think about your son from the moment he was born until now, and any little idiosyncrasies he has about his personality and everything else, and give it to me. And then I'll bring it to my group and we'll figure it out. And so she did. She wrote it all out. I came up with my plan. I presented it to the group and, we went back and forth on the few things. I didn't know if I should do Kelp Carb 30 or Kelp Carb 200 with him. I had read a couple different things and eventually settled in on the 200 and it's working beautifully. 1 week later, the mother comes back just for a 1 week follow-up and she says, that one that you gave me, just the one dose, 1 day? She's talking about Camphora. Mm-hmm. She says, the change in my child in 1 day was phenomenal. He wasn't speaking and he started saying like mama and dada within 24 hours of taking Camphora. So that just sent chills through my body. I couldn't believe it. And she says, and he hasn't had, since he started on the protocol in 1 week, all his eczema cleared up. 4 weeks after that, she said she had missed a couple of doses for the eczema and the eczema started appearing. So she took pictures for me. She got back on the remedies because just trying to get, into the groove of when to take things, the timing of things. And so she took before and after pictures for me. No eczema, no eczema. Incredible. Mm-hmm. Incredible. And he's sleeping through the night. He doesn't have problems sleeping anymore. So the response has been incredible. We're just a little bit post 8 weeks right now. And even her husband, who is a huge skeptic, she said, he can't deny what this has done. His son is starting to speak.
Amazing.
You hear so many of those stories of chilling transformation. It's so amazing. I never get tired of hearing these.
Yeah. And I still have skepticism in my heart too. Like you just wonder, really, can this really do this? And when you see it and how many times I've heard, can Camphora really did what I think it just did? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Incredible. So what I'd like to do to end this podcast today is I'd love for you girls to share with me your favorite remedy. I don't know. Didn't we have a name for it, Michelle?
Fan favorite or something.
Fan favorite. The fan favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So share with me your fan favorite remedy, if you would. Tina, do you want to go first?
We were discussing to have us share our fan favorites, our favorite remedy. And mine changes time to time. But right now I'm using Coffea Cruda 200 at night for insomnia. And I, like Michelle, sometimes think, is this really going to work? But when you're awake at midnight and you're laying there and you go, I'm going to try it. And then in 5 minutes, you don't remember anything. And so right now, Coffea cruda 200 for insomnia is definitely my favorite.
Oh, good.
It's my friend.
Maybe we should call them our favorite remedy friends.
Yes.
All right, Hillary.
Well, currently my fan favorite is arnica. And I've gotten to the point where if there's anything wrong, I'm going to try arnica first because I've had so much success with headaches, with anxiety, with this feeling off in my head that it has just helped every one of those. So that's my go-to these days. But I will say, I've also really loved arsenicum in the past, aconite. Those at different times have also been my favorites.
Yeah. And for those of you who want to learn something interesting, I would encourage you to open up Materia Medica or go online and search Materia Medica and search for arnica and read all about it, because arnica, we think of it for injuries and accidents, but it has such a wide array of use. Like you said, I feel like it's probably one of my favorites as well right now. So yeah, look arnica up and read all about it. You'll be surprised at what you find. Okay, Michelle with 1L.
Well, my favorite friend remedy is Ignatia Mara. With the trying times in the world today, we have it out kind of all over the counter and all over the house. So if you ever need it, it's ready to go.
You have a little funny story about Ignatia too, because you recently bought it from Helios. And I
bought a monster-sized bottle, lifetime supply of Ignatia from Helios Pharmacy in England.
If this was visual, you would be able to see this gigantic bottle. Yeah. Didn't you compare it to like the size of a pop can?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit smaller than maybe like a 10-ounce soda pop can. It's huge. I didn't really know when I bought it. The English measurements are different than ours. So, but I tell you what, I'm going to be able to pass that down to my kids for their kids if I don't use it all myself.
Maybe not.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, let's finish up with you.
Oh, my favorite at the moment is Nux Vomica 30 because it almost saved me $700 in vet bills. Almost.
Tell us. So, what happened?
Well, my dog ate some undesirables out of my daughter's trash can in her bathroom and started to think that he was impacted. And so I did some arsenicum album, which tended to work. And then on this particular morning, it dawned on me, what if it's the toxins from what he ate? So I gave him Nux Vomica. I headed off to work. My husband took him to the emergency vet. He spent the whole day there. My bill was $700. And the vet said, I really don't know what was wrong with your dog. He was so wonderful in the office today, but he's not impacted. So, nothing's wrong with your dog. So Nux Vomica almost saved me $700. I honestly believe it turned him around in, half an hour before I left for work. He was back to his normal self.
And didn't you say before that if you just would have waited a little bit longer?
Yes. If I didn't have to work that day and it was my husband's day to go to work, I think I would have saved us the $700 because I don't think I would have brought him in.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time today.
What's your favorite remedy?
Oh, gosh, that is so hard.
What are you currently taking?
A lot of things.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think my favorite right now is probably arnica. It's not necessarily the one. I'm taking some things for gallbladder because I recently had my gallbladder act up and really honestly a couple of doses of the homeopathic medicines for gallbladder, and that was feeling better. I'm so thankful because for those who've had gallbladder issues, it can be pretty painful, and mine wasn't super severe, but definitely painful. So, but besides the gallbladder, I'm like Hillary. I love arnica. I'm just learning so many new uses for arnica. And so I feel like that's probably my favorite. And my favorite time to use it is when I'm exhausted. You have that feeling of just being so tired. You can't go on, but you have to work or something is happening in the evening. I take arnica. Usually it's in the 200 potency. and it just turns me around. My head is clear. My eyes are no longer tired and fatigued. I just have that extra boost of energy for the next 3 or 4 hours, and I can continue to work. It's probably not the smart thing to do. Probably should go to bed. But when you have to have that energy and you're just feeling exhausted, that's my favorite right now. So, yeah.
But once again, isn't this awesome? Like, I never would have thought of Arnica for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
Joette,
Me either.
Yeah,
one more way to learn. Yes.
Yeah. So ladies, we're going to finish out this podcast, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time and sharing all this information with us. And I look forward to seeing you guys in more of the gateways and the signal groups, in other study groups. So thank you. And let's do this again.
Sure. Anytime, Kate.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
As I hope you know by now, on my blog, podcasts, and Facebook Live, I offer as many protocols for simple conditions as I can for free, without affiliates or advertising. But let me be clear, when it comes to more complex conditions, it's key that you learn how to use these medicines properly. I want you to be well trained. So I save discussions of the more involved methods for my courses, in which I walk students through each method with step-by-step training. In these podcasts, I focus on those students of mine who have already tunneled in and learned how to take care of themselves, family, friends, and pets, and even livestock using homeopathic medicine. Many of these students began their education by participating in one of my Gateway to Homeopathy study groups. And now, after taking one or more of my courses, they're well trained to use my specific brand of homeopathy. I hope listening to this podcast has inspired you to follow in their footsteps. With the proper training, you too can nurture and protect the health of your family and loved ones with practical homeopathy.
You just listened to a podcast from practicalhomeopathy.com, where nationally certified homeopath, public speaker, and author Joette Calabrese shares her passion for helping families stay strong through homeopathy. Joette's podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Blueberry, Pandora, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for listening to this podcast with Joette Calabrese. To learn more and find out if homeopathy is a good fit for your health strategy, visit practicalhomeopathy.com.